All right, welcome back to another episode of Small Guys Podcast. Today we're rewinding Edge of Tomorrow. A soldier fighting aliens gets to relive the same day over and over again, the day restarting every time he dies. This movie has a 91% critic score and 90% audience score. Came out in 2014, sci-fi action, hour 53. Today it's just me and Mike, the stars. I think this might
Yeah,
be, obviously we just started recording it. I think this has the potential to be the best episode we've made yet. We're 100 in now.
yeah,
I think it's only up from here. I think with me and Mike, the real stars,
yeah. We already got
and what
that
a better
chemistry
movie to
too.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
already
got the
got that
chemistry.
chemistry. And
I
like,
recommended this movie. Mike's the only one that showed up. So,
yeah, man,
to give Mike his flowers,
I appreciate that.
he's the best. So, yeah, I recommended this movie. I've seen it a few times. I actually saw it in theaters back in 2014. Really liked it there. Obviously, I've seen it a few times since. Just rewatched it. Right now, it's on Max. If you want to watch it, Mike, you just watched it for the first time, right?
Yesterday, yep.
Yep. So I think this would be cool to do this movie from two different perspectives: someone who just saw it for the first time and someone who has seen it a bunch of times. Um, for starters, I guess just briefly, what did you think of the movie? Did you like it? Do you think it's worth watching it a couple times? Would you recommend it?
Yeah. So I'm gonna start this off by saying I am the only person on Small Guys that has your back. Just remember that, Josh. When
Oh,
you
I know
can't
that.
count on anybody, you can count on me. Just know that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then the second thing here is I had to download Max. I was looking on my Xbox for like 2 minutes. I was like, dude, where the hell is HBO Max? I was looking for it. And then I'm like, oh shit, it's on Max now. So I had to download that, transfer all my
Yeah.
stuff and the login. So pretty much awful move by Warner Brothers, I think, rebranding that to just Max. But that's a whole nother story.
Well,
But
it's
anyway.
weird because on my phone I had to re-download the app, like download the new version.
Mhm.
But on the Fire Stick on my smart TV, it just updated to that version, so I don't get.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. So that's weird that they did that for Xbox though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it blows my mind. Like they're just so like disorganized to me. Like I don't get how that big of a company can fuck up that many times. But again, management is what it is. Sink or swim.
Yeah.
Anyway, Edge of Tomorrow. I think it's pretty clear that I am a big fan of sci-fi, and
Mhm.
I'm a sucker for any type of sci-fi. To be honest with you, um, and honestly, I was pleasantly surprised when you told me Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. And when I seen the kind of like promo on like Max before I started the movie, I'm like, all right, man, here we go. I'm like, what are we in store for? I know, because I remember you guys talking about it in the group chat that he died like multiple times, and I'm like, oh, it's one of those movies. Like, and what's this
Yeah.
about here? But I was pleasantly surprised about how they did things. To be honest with you, I like that this is a Tom Cruise movie where he just isn't like the badass right away. Like he's a scrub at first. You kind of
Yeah.
like he's scared to go in combat, and it's cool to kind of see him evolve into that macho man that we know him as the as the movie goes on. But like I said, man, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm always a sucker for sci-fi. We can dive deep into it here, kind of from start to finish. But I think for the most part here, it is a really solid watch.
Yeah. So I was reading up on it, and I guess the director decided to go with Tom Cruise and thought it'd be a really good role for him, and Tom agreed. Because in all his movies, he's a badass. Clearly he did his own stunts in this movie too. I mean, he's still a badass. But yeah, he played someone who he says literally at the beginning of the movie he's very uncomfortable around like blood, even a paper cut. Like
Yeah.
he's the complete opposite of the character we get at the end of the movie, and pretty
Mhm.
much the complete opposite of every character we get that he plays.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that a lot. I think it really worked and he played it well too.
Oh, 100%. It's I will say like at first it kind of confused me how he went from this guy that convinced millions of people to join this program against these aliens, and then he's a scrub all of a sudden, and then he has to work his way up to some macho man. Like that kind of got me at first where like why was he the person that was in the ad telling all these people to sign up and all this stuff, blah blah blah. Do you have an answer for that, or is it just
Yeah, so he kind of explains it a little bit in the beginning, but I get what you mean. It is like kind of confusing to see how he got all the way to that point. I think he's a really good talker. He's really charismatic. That's for
Yeah,
sure. And
it's
yeah, I
Tom
think he was
Cruise.
just, yeah, and I think he was just so afraid of having to get to the combat part of the job that he was able to stay kind of in the position he was in, where he was mainly just kind of giving orders and telling people what they should be doing instead of doing it himself, right? Not being able to walk the walk.
That's fair.
So yeah, and I'm glad they did that with his character too. I think it really harped on what he's going to end up becoming. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I wanted to ask you too. This movie takes place in 2020. It's supposed to be futuristic. Obviously, they're fighting aliens.
I'm not gonna lie. I did not pick up on that one bit, to be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Well, so this movie, obviously they have the like exoskeletons, exosuits. This was coming out too in 2014 when like we got the new Advanced Warfare Call of Duty where they had exosuits. So it's a time where like we were experimenting with exosuits. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm watching the movie and I'm just thinking like, really, do they help out that much? Especially in the beginning of the movie. Later on in the movie, you see some badass scenes with them,
yeah,
but it's just like they're so clunky and you're running. I feel like you're running slower, with the suit on rather than without it. I was reading up on it too. Apparently, they Tom Cruise especially did not want to do a lot of CGI on the exosuits,
yeah.
so they're more practical. They weighed up to 85 pounds, and I guess Emily Blunt
Really?
would have like a ton of problems. Yeah, like carrying around that. I mean, you got to think she's probably 120, 130. You know what I mean? So 85 pounds is fucking a lot of weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, that's a lot of weight to anyone.
It's
So
like
yeah,
it's like
so
carrying you on her back, you know.
yeah, yeah. I wish. Yeah. So,
Hey,
yeah,
clip that,
I
Sydney.
didn't. I didn't realize. I figured they just kind of wore CGI or some practical stuff, but not like a full blown like heavy ass suit that they're carrying around. So that I did not know from all the times I've seen this movie. But I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean for the most part though, you hit it on the head. Like I thought that was like a pull from Call of Duty. I was like, are we watching MW4 here? Like what are we looking at here, man? It's but I didn't know that it was mostly kind of practical, like as little CGI as they can get, man. That's actually pretty cool. I'm curious to see kind of like what were the after effects of like all like the exosuits that they built or the quote unquote
Yeah.
exosuits. I'm curious to know what they look like after the movie, obviously.
Yeah, and I know I read too that Tom Cruise went in like 2 months before the movie even began shooting to try to figure out like with the director as to how they can make them more practical and make them feel more real. So I wanted to ask you too. Obviously, we've seen a ton of sci-fi movies. We've seen different iterations of aliens. What did you think of the aliens in this movie? I mean, they're freaky. The way they move, it's sporadic.
I got
They're very
I
powerful.
I got Transformers vibes, to be honest with you. I don't know why I
Okay.
did, but it gave me some Transformer vibes. But honestly, dude, like it was pretty fucking sweet, to be honest with you. Kind of not only Transformer vibes, but when I think about it, more like Stranger Things vibes, kind of with like the end and the hole, and obviously Stranger Things, you know how that goes. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
I thought the designs were really good. Um, it's cool how the first I forgot what the name of it was. The first alien that he killed with the pretty much the bomb, the claymore on his chest. That
The
the reason
alpha.
how the alpha
Yeah.
that design was really fucking sweet. I thought that
Or
was
mimic.
really
Mimic. Sorry.
no, they're mimics is what they're called, but there's like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
Because the hive
omega.
is the omega, right?
Yeah, the hive is the
I
omega.
should know this. Yeah.
Well, no, regardless though, the hive is the omega. I know that, but that makes sense that the alpha is the blue one that killed him or quote unquote he killed at first, and the reason why he got the power he got to control time or go back in time a day.
Yeah, and the fact that there's only one in 6.8 million or some shit like that, like the
Yeah,
odds of him
yeah.
running into that is crazy, and getting the kill.
Well, not even that, but the odds of Emily Blunt's character Rita having that, like,
Yeah.
like that's. I mean, it's romanticized. It's a movie. I get that for sure. It's like Tony
Yeah.
Stark putting up, or Doctor Strange putting up the one next to Tony Stark. Like, yeah, okay, it's one in
Yeah,
what?
14 million.
Yeah, 14 million. Like, okay, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, dude. Every time I watch this movie, I'm just like, how many times did Tom Cruise actually die?
Die.
It's like, I don't know if you've seen it, but Groundhog Day. I mean, this is kind of the most similar to that movie,
Yeah.
probably.
Mhm.
There's theories that like, in Groundhog Day, he relived the same day like 3 million times. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
in the movie, I believe we see Tom Cruise die 38 times from what I read. We see it happen, but obviously there was so many scenes where he had already lived it, but we were watching it as a viewer for the first time, and I really like those scenes too because we're seeing it from Emily Blunt's perspective. I feel like where
Yeah.
she's like, "What do we do next?" Like, and he's like, "I don't know. I haven't gotten here yet, or we got to do this, that's that." So
Well, I will say I like the selection they made when it comes to showing what ones like he had to go through and what ones he didn't. Like sometimes you can just skip past like him going to the next part where he died the last time, and sometimes it shows him leading up back up to that part where he gets through it this time. And I think they did a really good job of kind of selecting, showing like what he did and what he didn't do to get to certain points, and when he died and when he didn't die. You know?
yeah. Did you know too? I know you saw kind of our group chat. Did you know beforehand that this was a movie where he kept restarting the day, like before watching it, or no?
No, I just know that you said he died
Okay,
continuously. That's all I know.
okay.
I knew it was sci-fi, aliens, Tom Cruise, and that he dies a lot. That's what I went to it with.
Yeah, because so I went in when I watched the movie in theaters. I knew obviously that he kept repeating the day just from the trailers and stuff. It's hard to market the movie without that. But
Yeah,
I feel like if you've gone in completely blind and you're watching the first 20 minutes where everyone's dying, you're like, what the fuck's happening? You know what
yeah,
I mean? D-Day going on the beach, like it's crazy.
yeah.
So yeah, I was wondering from that perspective what you thought about that. I mean, it's
I wish I would
crazy.
have went into it without like knowing that he died multiple times, because I would
Yeah.
have been like, what the fuck? Because there's an anime that I watch. It's really popular. It's called Jujutsu Kaisen, and
Okay.
he has like this demon inside him, and pretty much like he dies, and the demon pretty much saves him from dying because he's the host or whatever. And it kind of reminded me of that, just because, again, he gets his power from this alien. It's a little bit different, obviously, but he gets his power from this alien because he killed him with a fucking claymore or whatever, blood, all that stuff. So it's cool parallels like that you kind of see in certain movies and just certain genres like that.
Yeah. So let me ask you, if you're in Tom Cruise's shoes at the beginning of the movie when they're like, no, you have to go in, it's a war zone. Like, I mean, I feel like I'd go break my leg or something. Like, I don't know. I mean, in his spot, I feel like, and at this point too, he's much older than the rest of his team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. Just to run and
Here's the
blackmail
thing.
and
Here's the
try
thing.
some stuff.
I like the blackmail. I like the blackmail
Hmm.
for sure. But what was General? Was it Bringham? I think, is that what it was?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he he kind of big dicked him. He's like, hey man, like no, like I'm the commander in charge. You're going here, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. At first, it got me when he what does he say? Hey maggot, get up.
Yeah.
The really the really funky or the really mad soldier that wakes him up, and not the general. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna draw a blank now here. But the guy that pretty much was commander when he got sent to the battlefield and sent everybody out. I don't know if it
Yeah.
was a general or commander, whatever it was. It got me at first. I didn't know that. I thought he was like playing along with these. Like, oh my god, like yeah, like you're in the wrong place. Let's get you right. And then he pulled that note out of his pocket. He's like, yeah, I was told you say this exact same thing. Here's your fucking boots. Here's your squad. Like you're saddling up tomorrow. Like nut up or shut up, pretty much. And I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, and you can tell how scared Cage is. Like,
Oh yeah,
he's really just being thrown in it. There's no way for him to get out of it.
yeah,
And it shows how strict he is, being in charge of this the J Squad, making them eat the cards from gambling
yeah.
and just all
It's
the shit he's saying.
Master Sergeant. That's what it is.
Master, yeah. Yeah, so I like the way they show the J Squad throughout the movie. You kind of learn a little bit more from them, and it's weird the way they kind of explain all the characters. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to skip ahead, but just as an example, the Ford character at the end, you learn more about him through what Tom Cruise lived through and
Yeah,
tells another character. So it's like
yeah,
we didn't even get to see the interaction with Ford telling him that or how he learned it, but he just knows it. That Ford's not really his own name, and it's a friend of his who
yeah. And
died.
he
And
sends
then yeah,
money
he
to
sends
their
the
family.
yeah. So I love the way it's very creative. I feel like for a movie to do that, brave too. So I
I
like
agree.
the way that we kind of learn about, and you kind of by the end of the movie start getting attached to some of these characters. So So that
And
was really cool.
they do a really good job of that, and especially kind of Rita. I'm not gonna lie, for a second I really did think that she was gonna die. For some odd
Mhm.
reason, I feel like Tom Cruise character, like he was always gonna live. I feel like Cage was always gonna live, but for some reason I thought Rita's character was gonna die. And I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't think they were gonna end up as like a romantic couple, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. And then they obviously, I don't want to skip ahead, but they make out before the end and all that stuff. And
Yeah, I mean, there's a sneaky romance in there.
okay,
It's somewhat of a romance movie.
Can we talk about this though?
Hmm.
The amounts of beautiful women that Tom Cruise has kissed or been partners with in a movie is absolutely insane. If I was his
Oh yeah.
wife, I would have been gone years ago. Like that's crazy what he gets away with. I generally want to see like a chart of all the women that Tom Cruise has like been like a romantic partner with in a movie or kissed or made out with. Like I'm really curious to know the starting five that you can put together. I think it'd be like all star level.
Yeah, there was a time, and I know there's a kiss in this movie, but last year in Top Gun, Maverick, he does have a kiss scene, but like I'm pretty sure from that movie all the way back to this movie, he really hasn't kissed anyone, and he's been in these movies with these attractive women, the Mission Impossible and everything like that,
Yeah,
and yeah, he usually doesn't do kiss scenes that much anymore because like what you just said, right? He's,
yeah.
he's getting older, he's married, all this stuff. So it
What's
was interesting.
the
It was interesting.
what's the age gap between Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise? I'm gonna look this up right now.
Well, so Tom Cruise is currently 61. I know that. So
So Emily Blunt's 40.
yeah. So he
So
was
21
51 or
years.
52 when this movie came out. Yeah, and she
And
was
she
probably
was
30.
yeah, she was probably 30. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
actually crazy. Wow. Well, hey, good for Tom
But
Cruise,
really
man.
he doesn't look that old either.
Oh
Too.
no.
I mean,
I
you
will
could
say
you could convince me he's late 30s in this movie.
in this movie, yeah, but I will say I seen
Yeah.
him on the red carpet for his new movie, Mission
Yeah.
Impossible, and um, he looked a little bit older than what he's
Oh
normally
yeah.
been looking like. You know,
Well, now
they
he's
just
60s.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
man. And the fact that he's still doing his own stunts, man, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and he said, and we're reviewing Mission Impossible actually next Friday. But he said in an interview that he wants to keep doing them until he's Harrison Ford's age. Harrison Ford's 80. So he said he wants to just keep doing action movies. That I don't know if it's specifically just Mission Impossible, but yeah, like you said, he does his own stunts in all those movies and in this movie included. So, uh, it's something he enjoys, and I think he's really good at it. Clearly,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, dude,
So
it's like even seeing like him, the one that's really popular right now, where he's driving that bike off that cliff. Like,
yeah, Mission Impossible.
can you imagine like how scary that is to be like a director of that movie and just knowing that like your lead star, like someone's life he could literally die just doing a stunt for a dumb movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's crazy to think about that, like from that perspective.
Yeah, and I read too that what they started doing was doing the crazy stunts first. So if there's ever any injuries or anything, they don't have to halt the whole shooting thing. So there was it was actually the last Mission Impossible. He's jumping from rooftop to rooftop,
Mm-hmm.
and he broke his ankle
Oh my
on the
god.
landing. Yeah, and in the shot or in the scene that they use was actually the one where he broke his ankle because he like recovered from the climbing thing and made it look
Yeah.
really good. So they're like, "Fuck it, we're just gonna use that one." But yeah, they had to wait I think 6 weeks for filming because he broke his ankle. So, but yeah, no, they're all those movies. He's doing his own stunts where he's jumping out of planes, he's holding on to planes, he's underwater for 3 minutes. Like it's crazy. And there in this movie, there's that one shot, and it's at the end of the movie when he's, when the ship gets attacked and they all have to jump,
Yeah.
where he's falling with this wire, and it's just like the camera's rotating around him. I thought it was really cool. It felt like a one shot.
Yeah.
The way the action and everyone's dying around him, really cool.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. It's I mean, the fact that he's in his 60s doing this now, man, it's a lot of people kind of shit on Tom Cruise, to be honest with you. At least a lot of our friends do. So, oh, it's Tom Cruise. But it's like that. It's like the Drake and LeBron thing. Like, they've been doing it consistently at a high level for so long that you almost like start to like not be appreciative of it. But at the end of the day, like, you look at it from like an outside in perspective, like, Tom Cruise could have multiple careers. You can split up his career within multiple careers, and they could all be all-time actor worthy like level. It's the same thing with
Yeah,
LeBron, same thing with Drake. Catalog and LeBron's career, like I think he's a little underappreciated in my opinion. It's crazy to say that for Tom Cruise.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think as far as it goes for action movies, I think he's just like S tier. Like he's up there with the greats, like you just said, especially for action movies. You know what
A
I mean?
million percent. A
No
million
one does it
percent.
like him. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that he wants to go till 80 doing it, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah,
So I
man.
don't
I
know if
seen
he can keep it up, but
I seen also in an interview, the interview that was on the red carpet that I was telling you about, that he really doesn't have any interest in doing any directing, which I kind of like
mhm.
because I feel like that'd be an easy path for him to kind of branch into. And who would say no to a Tom Cruise directing a movie or producing a movie even? But like you said, his love is within acting. He loves acting, and I kind of like that he's not. I feel like directing's taking an easy way out, just to kind of be still attached to movies and franchises and make money, but he's sticking to it.
Yeah, I'm sure too he'd be decent at it. Obviously, he has a good idea, or you know, he just knows the industry, right? Like he knows what needs to be on screen. So,
Oh yeah,
um, and what fans want and what people want when they go to the theaters to watch these movies. And that's what's cool about him too. Like Top Gun, I think was supposed to come out in 2020, and he kept pushing it back until audiences could come to the theaters. And after seeing, I believe, No Way Home, how it did, what was it, 1.9 billion? He was like,
close
okay,
to
it's
two.
time. Yeah, so he's like, it's time we can bring it into theaters, and clearly it worked because Top Gun made $1 billion last year. So,
Yeah,
and then too with Mission Impossible, he was pushing that off a little bit too, and now it's out. And yeah, I think it just kind of shows the person he is. But yeah, he does get some hate. He said some wacky shit. Tom Cruise himself,
did he
but
really?
too,
Oh, I
it's
don't even know.
yeah, it's nothing like cancelable or anything crazy. But yeah, he just
Uh,
yeah, it's religion based, other shit like that. So yeah, so people are just like, I don't like him. But like, I just kind of separate the person from the actor, and I just enjoy. I love action movies, so I enjoy him obviously because he's one of the best action superstars out there. So
yeah.
yeah, I appreciate him, and to get back to the movie, I was watching it, and when he keeps coming back to life, I'm just thinking for the character Cage, I'm like, that must be so fucking exhausting. Because think about it, he can't rest or sleep or do anything like that. It's just constant over and over and over and over again. You know what
Well,
I
you
mean?
see, you see him fighting the robots. He just gets pissed off and he's breaking them. And you see Rita, Emily Blunt's
Yeah.
character, just walk in like, "Hey, what the fuck is going on?" Like,
Yeah.
and I can,
Yeah. And
like
I
you
think,
said, man, I can only imagine what like he was going through.
oh, yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, how many times? I wonder. I don't know. But yeah, I really like the scene, and it's one of my favorites in the movie when Rita realizes, he's saving her, and she realizes he's going through what I went through, and she just says, "Come find me when you wake up." It's such a badass line because he had not really talked to her.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I thought that was really cool, and she knew what was happening, and we learned through him what happened to her. So I thought that was really cool,
No,
really
I
cool
agree,
aspect
man.
of the movie.
That's it's crazy. Like, but at the same time, like, there's a little bit of resistance, obviously, at first. But like, that's a movie.
Yeah,
I will
got to be
say,
some drama.
yeah, 100%. I will say for me, I don't want to skip ahead, but like, I think we can honestly with this movie. Um,
Yeah,
it was a little predictable at the end that he for some odd reason his blood was gonna get like transfused and he was gonna run out of it and not just die right away and that they'd have like one last shot. That was probably
yeah.
like the most predictable thing of all time to me. But I mean, besides that though, like it kind of kept me on my toes for sure. I didn't know what to expect each time he was dying. And I will say his acting every time he died, I can only imagine. I want to know like what the sequence was, like when they did like the acting for like each like sections of the movie. I imagine that they did all like his waking up around like that pile with the cruel sergeant. I imagine they did that like all at the same time. And the fact that like even just like the acting in that alone, just the wide range that he has to show, like the different type of like emotions and just like times of point he's at when he's dying is just unreal to me.
Yeah. Well, and two, every time he dies differently, the way he wakes up is a tad bit different. Like if he gets, stabbed in the chest, he wakes up like grabbing his chest, or if he gets shot in the
No,
head, he's grabbing his head. Yeah.
no,
So, I mean, to your point, yeah, I like that a lot too. It connects his death to him waking back up. Um,
I agree.
Yeah, and to what you mentioned earlier about him not being able to save Rita, I remember thinking that too, and the movie definitely points you in that direction, especially when they get to the barn or the, you know, that vacant house.
I was just gonna bring that scene up. I really like that scene a lot.
Yeah, and you see too, right leading up to that scene, them on the beach so many times where she's dying and he's just standing there, like, looking sad. I mean, clearly he's starting to fall for her, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah, you definitely think when watching this movie, oh, it's going to get to the point where she just can't go any further, like she has to die.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
There's no way
then
around it.
And then Macho Man Tom Cruise finds a way, does it without her, leaves her at the compound. And then a scene that kind of made me laugh that it really wasn't that funny is when the first guy on the beach that's like, we're here, and the helicopter
Yeah.
comes and hits him. The when he was like, he saved them multiple times, and then like one of the times he just looks back at him and just like he's like a dead man inside and just lets him die. That made me laugh. Like it made me laugh
Oh
out
yeah.
loud for some odd reason.
We gotta think how many times he's watched that man die too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that I think too that the helicopter scene is just one of my favorites because of what we mentioned earlier. He really is starting to believe he can't save her, and she's too stubborn to, like you said, go back. You know what I mean? I can do the rest by myself, and she's not having it, right? Which
Yeah.
makes sense for her character for sure.
100%. I would you think of I know we're kind of skipping ahead, but not really. Would you kind of think
Mm.
about the scene where they broke into, I don't know what you want to call it, the embassy where the general is, and they kind of get that device that the doctor made for them to kind of just see the visions.
Yeah, so I like the scene a lot too, just because you can tell the way Tom Cruise is talking. Cage, for that matter, has clearly relived this sequence before, but this is the first time and only time we see it happen. And then I liked how at the end of the scene, when he convinces him to go open the safe and give him the device, his reaction on his face, you could tell that
Yeah.
he hasn't experienced this part of it yet, like actually
He's
getting him to
like
open the
he's
safe.
like, I don't know, we didn't get this far last time.
Yeah, I love that. Like that is a good way to tell the story and continue the movie without showing us that scene 10 times
Yeah.
or 2 times even. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just the way he's talking, the monotone, the way his voice is, the way his face is, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that scene a lot, and it's funny too. I think
Oh yeah.
the funniest scene in this movie that gets me to laugh every time, I think, is when he's doing the push-ups and rolls too far in the car until he
Yeah.
makes that noise. I think that's probably one of the funniest scenes. But yeah,
Yeah.
that whole sequence is probably my second favorite part, just because I mean that guy's an asshole that he's dealing with. Clearly, sends him from the beginning of the movie, and strips his titles and everything. But yeah, I love that scene too.
Oh yeah, that's a funny. That reminds me of the scene where, shit, I'm gonna forget their name, but two of the members of the J Squad,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of took Cage outside, like after one of the times, just like you made us do extra push-ups because you left, and the master sergeant was yelling at them, and then like Tom Cruise is just sitting there with his hands behind his back and just knows every one of their moves, and they're like,
Oh yeah.
they look like they seen a ghost after he did that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna shut my eyes and put my hands behind my back.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah, too. He definitely got his ass beat quite a few times.
And again, it just goes to show you like how many times did he actually die? Like
I know.
it's probably unfathomable. Like just like the sequence, even like on the battlefield, you're gonna go left, right, 12 o'clock. Like there's probably died tens of thousands of times. To be honest with you.
Yeah, he's telling Rita you gotta duck here, and then too, there's all those lives he used where they're just training too.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. Yeah, dude. There's so many. And I love to her shooting him in the head all the time when they're training. He's like, I broke my back or my
Yeah.
ankle's broken, my leg's broken, and then that one point too where he's trying to crawl away from her as she's chasing him with the gun and shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
It's so good. So yeah, I really like that aspect of the movie a lot.
Yeah.
But
And when they're training too, like he like rolled his ankle or broke it, and then he's like looking at her. He's like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." He tries to get
yeah,
down,
I'm
and
good.
she just pops him in the head.
Another moment in this movie that I like a lot, and it's right before the whole helicopter scene, is when they're driving and he's talking to her about the story about her brother. He tells her about her middle name, and I like how it was a lie, right? I mean, she lied to him in the previous life or
Hmm.
previous lives even, because she doesn't want to get too close to him, and she knows clearly he's been reliving that day with her.
Yeah,
So I really like that aspect a lot too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
As the character Cage, you'd probably get sick of her, or you know every single thing about her, and even at that point, he still doesn't.
And it goes like again, like it goes to show you how much Cage was falling for her, even after all the lies and after how many times she died. Like he's still into her, and that was kind of like it was underemphasized in the movie, I think. But just like when you see that and you think about that from like just like after you watch the movie, you're like, yeah, he actually really liked her, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, they end up getting the device. They're running away. They're in the car. The car accident happens. They both pass out, and then yeah, he wakes up. His powers are gone. Right? He's been cured. He needed blood. He got blood. We kind
Yeah.
of saw it coming, right? Like
Oh
we
yeah.
mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you're like from that point on to the end of the movie, you're kind of on the edge of your seat because you're like, this is it. This is their last chance. He hasn't lived this yet, so he doesn't know what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like that aspect of the movie too because there's still 20 minutes left, right around. So yeah, you're going through and you're like, fuck, like okay, now
What's gonna happen, you
there's
know?
some stakes here. Yeah, like they need to they need to stop this thing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's good timing. You know what I mean? But of course, too, who knows? Once you destroy the Omega, he probably loses his powers. Or clearly, they know the cure to get rid of the powers, right? It's just give him blood. So
Yeah.
it had to happen at some point. Yeah, I like that aspect a lot. And then yeah, I like that they go and get the team. I like that a lot too. They go get the J Squad,
That
help them
surprised me
out.
a little bit, to be honest with you. I thought they were just kind of throw that squad away a little bit and just use it as like a building block of the
Mm-hmm.
movie. But like you said, I thought that was a really really cool kind of tidbit. And I honestly like I said, it was underemphasized in the beginning of the movie, so I didn't think it would happen. So it surprised me to say the least. You know?
Yeah, and we mentioned the scene earlier where they talk about Ford, but they talk about each of the character a little bit, giving some background that Cage would not know because he barely knows them, right?
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and I like that they all believed him. I love the part where they're on the plane or helicopter rather ship, and it's right before they get to their destination, Paris, and they're talking about, well, haven't you seen the future at this point, or shouldn't we do this or that? And like they're all in, they're all in,
Yeah.
they all believe him. They're
Yeah.
working as a true team finally. So that was really cool.
Yeah. And that like you said right there, that's when they kind of when you know as a viewer that they're all bought in on this. Like holy shit, like yeah, we believe this guy. He's led us up until this point. Like he's pretty much told us everything. And then when you ask him, you're like, he doesn't know anything. You're like, well, fuck. Like as a viewer, you're like, okay, like this is it right here. Like whatever happens is gonna happen. It's gonna be like settled.
Yeah, yeah. You got to think. I mean, pretend to be. I mean, pretend like a random person came up to you that you've never met before, barely knows you, and says all this shit about you that no one would really know. It's crazy to think what you would think in that moment. You'd be like, "Am I being punked?" I don't know. So, yeah, they're
I
they're all
mean,
bought in.
I would buy. I'd be like, listen, bro, how do you know that? But like, I'll go along with it. You know.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, you can see into the future. Uh, yeah, and then so the team kind of becomes a little expendable, right? I mean, they all kind of do. They crash. They're making their way in. They slowly start getting picked off, dying, sacrificing themselves, yada yada
Yep.
yada. And then yeah, we get to the part where it's just Cage and Rita. One has to distract the Alpha while the other one goes and destroys the Omega, right? Um,
And then they
it's
kiss. They go.
yeah, then they kiss. Oh, Mike, the one funny part too, we should mention this, where he's like, "Have you tried everything?" Like he's trying to give it to her, and they're talking about having sex. That part was funny.
She's like, "You mean sex?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Doesn't work."
Yeah, she's like, "Tried it," and he goes, "Yeah, but how many times?"
How many times?
Love that. That's funny too.
That was a good one. I'll tell you. I'll say that.
Yeah, good delivery there. But yeah, so Rita ends up dying. and he
Hmm.
watches it happen. It's hard to watch, and then he dives in. Right, he's in the water. I love the scene where the clips come out as he gets stabbed. Really cool.
Really
Omega
cool.
blows up. You see all the aliens die. Really cool. And I want to mention too, I think it's a really cool idea to have an alien movie like this where it's a hive mind. I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah, I agree.
We don't see that too often. But yeah, I think that's cool. I like the hive mind idea. But yeah, it blows up, and then you see the blue blood or whatever it is go into him. His eyes turn black again, and then he
Yeah,
wakes up. But he wakes up earlier than he normally does in the movie.
and that's when like at this point in the movie where he wakes up in the plane after the blue blood gets back into his system and his eyes turn black. I'm like, all right, dude, what the fuck is gonna happen right here? Like, obviously he saved the day, but why is he alive? Does he have to go through this whole thing again, or are things just back to normal? And the way they did it, honestly, it kind of surprised me that like he doesn't know, like Rita doesn't know who he is, Squad J doesn't know who he is. He kind of like all of a sudden it's just like, hey, things are back to normal. Like we don't have to go to war, and we're just gonna go on about our day. And that kind of
Yeah.
surprised me how they did it like that. I don't know, like I can't think of another way like other than being cheesy and him going back to Rita. Oh my God, I love you, and like her remembering him and all this stuff. Like I can't think of another way that they could have done it better. To be honest with you.
Yeah, and there is an alternate ending, and we'll talk about it here in a couple minutes when we do the trivia for this movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and it's a little darker, but yeah, I thought too when he woke up, I'm like, oh fuck, like is the Omega just somewhere else? Like is it unbeatable? You know what I mean? You don't know, and it's like what made him go back to reset at this point? I do like the way the movie ends. You know, that last line, which is like, what are you looking at? And then he just like laughs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
clearly he'll be able to explain it to her. I mean, she believes him every time he says it, anyways. And it'll take them a little bit of time to get back to probably where they were before. But yeah, I think I think the way it ended on a good note, right? They
Yeah.
won. They saved the world. So
Literally.
really interesting. Yeah, and it was cool too that they mentioned like their work with China, Russia, like the whole world came together to fucking stop this thing.
And that's crazy to think about because that shit would probably never fucking happen if we're being honest with you.
I know. I thought about that. I was like, I wonder if that happened in real life. I mean, if it comes down to saving the human race and the planet, how do you not all work together? I mean, I feel like at that point you have to put things aside. But I don't know. You're
But
right.
like,
There's a
but
chance they
again,
probably wouldn't.
I if I had to put my money on it, I would bet that they wouldn't work together, and there'd probably be two opposite sides, just like there always is, and they go two different ways, and things would be hell. But fuck, what do I know?
Yeah. No, I know. I it's funny. Yeah, I've definitely thought about that before. I'm like, I wonder if we were ever invaded by aliens or something. I don't know. But
Motherfucker invaded. We know aliens are a thing. It's just a matter of
yeah,
when they're coming.
when they're coming, what they are, if they're
Mm-hmm.
looking to cause harm. I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, we can get into movie trivia here. There's actually some good ones.
Okay.
So this is based off a novel. I don't know if you knew that or not. I did not
I,
know that.
I mean, it's
But it
kind
makes
of
sense.
it makes sense though. Yeah.
Yeah, so when writing the novel, the writer got the idea from video gaming, resetting the game over and over until finding the winning strategy. Now that makes sense, right?
That makes sense.
Looking back
Yeah.
at it. Yeah, and I think
we-
I get video game vibes from watching it. All those times dying, come back.
Yeah, honestly, that's a really good way to put that. And like, just thinking about it, like, how many times have you restarted a certain mission back from the same point, or like a certain point in like a story, and like went back to the same point just to complete it? And that's actually really fucking funny, to be honest with you.
Yeah, especially like too if you're watching or doing a speed run in a game and you're like, fuck it, my time's fucked. I'm just gonna die here and then reset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that's really cool, and that's a good way of looking at it. And
Yeah.
I definitely got that vibe from watching it.
Oh,
This story is kind of crazy. While filming the car chase scene, which includes the minivan, Emily Blunt was instructed to drive fast and then take a right-hand turn so the van would shake. However, Blunt missed the mark and drove the car right into a tree. She later said it was both hilarious and terrifying as she almost killed Tom Cruise, who was in the passenger seat. Both of them started laughing after the incident. Dude,
What
can you
the?
imagine if she killed Tom Cruise?
Why would you
That'd be
laugh
fucking
at that?
nuts.
Hey,
Yeah, that'd
why
be
would you?
fucking nuts. They're both crazy.
Hey, you're crazy for that, man. That's damn. They actually like really did that,
Yeah, they crashed right into a tree.
but they were really doing that stunt. Like, it wasn't like
Yeah, yeah. So I forget it's like the Winnebago or something that's attached to the back. Do you remember that, or the camper or something? And
the
she has
yeah,
to
it's
wiggle it off. Yeah, the
yeah,
alien fucked it up already. It's
yeah,
holding on by a thread. Yeah, yeah. So
and
that's when she shakes it off.
they actually did that like where she actually shakes it off like in real life.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what they probably did is have it on like a small wire or something like that, where she really barely had to jerk it for it to come off, and she just clearly missed the mark. And I'm sure it did end up shaking off, but yeah, they went straight to a tree.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. I mean that. Thank God they're both okay. It could have been a
yeah,
much worse story.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh, it was never stated in the movie, but in the Magna, the reason why
The manga.
manga. Yeah, sorry. The reason why Rita uses a melee weapon is because during her resets, she would often run out of ammo, which resulted in her deaths. So, and also learned about the convenience of the melee weapon. So that makes sense, right? If you're
Yeah,
running out of ammo constantly, you're like, "Fuck it, I got to find out a new way to stop dealing with this bullshit." I think her melee, her sword was sweet. I thought it was really
yeah.
cool.
I will say that maybe could have done a little better job of like making her seem like this badass. Like I think they could have probably showed a little bit more like action with her of like killing all these aliens or just like how she compares to other people. But
Yeah,
yeah, that melee that shit is sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, because you really only get a little bit of her just standing alone, like killing aliens. But then we see her die a bunch of times too. So
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, clearly she's the better one out of like the whole J Squad or anyone else involved, but not
yeah,
like crazy as
yeah,
you think she probably would be from dying all those times and having the experience of fighting them. But
yeah.
yeah. The director wanted to do a film because it showed a role that Tom Cruise hasn't done yet. Someone very bad at what he does. We mentioned that earlier in the movie. Makes sense, and I think he plays the character well, and I'd be interested to see him doing something like that again, similarly in the future. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it gives him a little bit of diversity in his portfolio, and I think with a big reason of why he gets shit on so much by people, kind of like The Rock, is like he plays the same type of role over and over again. And I think if he
Yeah,
can just show a little bit more diversity in just the movies he does and the roles that he plays, then I think it's gonna be better for him long term. In terms of just like
yeah,
legacy, I think.
yeah. We mentioned this one kind of earlier too, but I didn't go into it too much. Emily Blunt said in a podcast interview in December 2022 that putting on the metal suit, she started crying because it was so heavy. It weighed 85 pounds. And that she didn't
Wow.
think she could perform action scenes in it for 5 months. Then Tom Cruise told her, "Come on, stop being such a pussy, okay?" Emily says she laughed at that and got it together to get the job done. That's something crazy to say to someone.
Yeah, I don't know if they knew each other before or what, man.
I
But
don't
if
know.
I,
Hopefully they're friends if you're saying that shit.
yeah, man. I mean,
Stop
fuck.
being a pussy.
If Tom Cruise called me a pussy, I'd be like, you know what? You're right. I'm being a pussy. I'm gonna stop doing it. So
Yeah. I quit.
yeah,
Um,
seriously.
Tom Cruise admitted that Emily Blunt was an actress he wanted to work with for a long time, and he recommended her to the producers for the role of Rita. I think that worked out. I think she played the character really, really well.
I think he just
I
wanted
don't
to
know
kiss
if
her.
we've really, yeah, probably. I mean, she's beautiful, but yeah, I don't know if she's really done. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I don't know if she's really done action to this degree, especially in an 85-pound suit. Probably not. But she looked like a badass to me. It was very believable
Yeah.
that she can kind of carry her own. Especially the scenes where they're like training and stuff, and she doesn't even have the suit on. I think that was kind of telling that she's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
All right, so this is the darker ending. All right, it's an alternate darker ending was considered for the film as follows: as they approach Paris in the dropship, Cage briefs the soldiers that they must not kill an alpha, or it will collapse and the time loop will begin. He says, "We'll be right back here having this conversation, and we won't even know it." Right? So during fighting, one of the soldiers gets separated, then confronts and kills an alpha. The audience sees the Omega reset the day and witnesses the same conversation before about not killing the Alpha. But then an attack starts, and the audience knows that the mimics have the upper hand as the movie ends. The actual released movie has scenes in the dropship where the soldiers are reviewing Cage's warning about not killing the Alpha. Also, when the mimics begin firing on the ship, someone yells, "They know we're coming, Cage." These scenes were probably filmed for the alternate ending. So that would have been, I mean, we were talking
Ah,
about a darker ending where they lost or where they died, still saving the planet, but they died. This is a pretty dark ending. I mean, they would have lost, they would have seen it coming. You
yeah,
know, how do you get back to that point? You can't, right? That
yeah.
was their last shot. So
I think
really interesting.
that's interesting because I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at things right now, and
Mm-hmm.
there's just an article last month about why the Edge of Tomorrow 2 is taking so long. So apparently there is a sequel, or there is a
Wow.
sequel being made, and I imagine that like that ending right there was probably gonna set up like a second Edge of Tomorrow, but like I don't know with this type of movie, like do you need a sequel? Like I think
Yeah,
I think it's a really good standalone movie. But
I
again,
do too.
if they did it right, I wouldn't be opposed to another, sci-fi movie that's good, especially with a universe and characters that we're already attached to. You know?
Yeah, that's true. And clearly it made some pretty good money. Alone in the U.S. it made a little over 100 million. So,
Really?
I'm
Okay.
interested. Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense that they went with that. Let's see. So the budget was estimated to be 178 million. Worldwide, it made 370 million. So it made more than what it cost. It is a pretty popular movie. I mean, to this day, like I mentioned, Emily Blunt's talking about it on a podcast from December of this past year.
Yeah.
You're seeing articles of a sequel.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now.
Clearly it's
Actually,
something. So
it hasn't been confirmed, and it's probably not going to move.
hopefully
Is
they
what?
don't. Like you said,
Yeah.
I think it's a good standalone movie.
Yeah. I don't think there needs because like again that would just ruin the ending. Like
Yeah,
what are they going to do? Find another? Is the Omega going to come back to life and they're going to have to fight it again? And one of them are actually going to die? Like it's
yeah.
just it's not worth it.
What's the odds of them getting the powers again, or just Tom Cruise just have it from the last movie? Like, or are they gonna have to go to their planet to invade them? I don't know. I don't know what they would do. I'm happy this is a standalone thing, something you could revisit. And like we said, it's on the shorter end for an action movie. It's like an hour 45, hour 53 action to be exact, but without credits, probably hour 45.
I think the
I
pacing is pretty good too.
I do too. Yeah, and it's a movie where you're rewatching some of the same scenes again, yet it doesn't feel like it's dragging, which
Yeah.
is interesting. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, do you want to get into giving it a score in your
Yeah.
review?
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
You go
I'll
first.
go. I'll go first. Yeah, I'll go first here. Like I talked about here at the beginning, man. I'm a sucker for sci-fi, and Emily Blunt's a great actress. Tom Cruise is a great actor. Some familiar faces, like we talked about, from Legends of Tomorrow. What's his name?
Oh, the actor's name?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Franz Drama
He pretty much
plays
like
Jefferson.
plays
Well, he
Jefferson
plays Ford in
Firestar.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was cool to see some familiar faces. Um, but besides that, though, man, honestly, I think we kind of hit everything on the head here. The pacing was really good. I think the ending was pretty much about as good as it can get, and I think a sequel would ruin it. So I really hope that there's no movement on that sequel. Um, Really cool to see Tom Cruise in a different type of role than we're used to seeing him in. I think he needs to do more stuff like this, and he needs to succeed in those roles to kind of elevate his legacy, not just as an action actor, but just as an actor as a whole, just to kind of climb up those rankings and just kind of boost up his quote unquote legacy, however you want to word that. But
Mm-hmm.
besides that though, man, I'm pretty happy that I watched this movie, to be honest with you. I don't know, I'm not huge on rewatching movies, but honestly I think I might rewatch this movie, which is crazy for me to say for just a movie that just kind of popped up out of the dark that I just watched for our podcast. Hasn't been on my radar at all, but I'm definitely glad that I watched it. So you know what, that said, I'm gonna give it an 87 out of 100. I think really solid movie, definitely worth the watch. And if you're a big fan of sci-fi like I am, it's a must-watch. To be honest with you.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect place to put it there. And I'm only a couple points ahead of you. I'm giving it an 89%. Um, I think it is a movie definitely that you can rewatch and enjoy things, especially like kind of the first half of the movie. You just pick up on more things. But yeah, I think from the action standpoint, you get a lot of action. Sci-fi, we're some sci-fi nerds. We love that. You do get a little bit of romance. There's comedy. There's a little bit of everything for people. So, and obviously, like we mentioned, don't think it should be a sequel, but we'll see. Two, the reason I ended up recommending this movie is because we got Mission Impossible for our next episode, so we're getting Tom Cruise, and then Emily Blunt's about to be in Oppenheimer, right? So we're getting
Yeah.
both these stars and these new movies that are coming out that we're about to review. So I
So
felt like
really
it was kind
quick,
of a perfect one to do.
really quick too. I just re-looked at the cast list for Oppenheimer, and
Yeah.
holy fuck, dude, that shit is crazy.
Oh yeah.
That's
No, that and
crazy.
Barbie on the same day. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, we can't wait. But yeah, so that was our Edge of Tomorrow review, rewind. Thank you for joining us. Me and Mike are gonna have to do some more episodes, just the
I
two of
know,
us,
man.
because
We're gonna have to do some, some TikTok content or YouTube content, man. Like the drafts we did on TikTok. Um, yeah, man. I think it's a dynamic duo that it's just you can't top it here. You
yeah,
can't.
clearly we're the stars. The other three are kind of weighing us down a little bit. So,
Yeah.
uh,
We might need to branch off into Mike and Josh's corner.
yeah, yeah. No, but those idiots will be back next week. Thank you
Sadly.
guys for listening. Yes, sadly. We'll see you guys on Friday for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Thank you guys for listening, and see you guys next time. Bye.
GG's.